The morning Henry Caldwell chose to disappear from his own life, the city of Cleveland, Ohio, was wrapped in a cold gray hush that made even the tallest buildings look tired. Henry stood alone in his penthouse, staring at his reflection in floor-to-ceiling glass, wearing clothes that cost more than some family's rent for a year. He was a man who owned half the skyline, yet something in his chest felt hollow and restless. Success had brought him applause, power, and endless comfort, but it had also wrapped him in a quiet arrogance he no longer noticed. That morning, driven by a mix of boredom and curiosity, Henry decided to strip it all away for one day and see the world as those beneath his notice lived it. He believed it would be a harmless experiment. He had no idea the city was about to teach him a lesson he would never forget. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of empathy, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Henry traded his tailored suit for a frayed jacket, worn jeans, and scuffed boots he bought from a thrift store on the east side of town. He left behind his watch, his wallet full of black cards, and the driver who usually opened doors before he reached them. He carried only a few crumpled bills and a phone with its case removed, hoping to look as unimportant as possible. As he stepped onto the street, something subtle shifted. The city no longer bent around him. People brushed past without noticing. Doors that once swung open now stayed shut. For the first time in decades, Henry felt invisible, and the feeling unsettled him more than he expected. The first challenge came quickly. Hunger, a sensation Henry usually solved with a reservation, began to gnaw at him. He walked into a small diner he had driven past 1,000 times without ever stopping. The warmth and smell of coffee felt inviting, but the looks he received were cold and measuring. He sensed impatience and suspicion in the air. He ordered the cheapest item he could afford, counting his bills carefully. When he sat down, he noticed how differently people looked at him now, eyes sliding away, shoulders turning, a silent message that he did not belong. The food tasted fine, but shame sat heavier than the plate in front of him. As Henry wandered deeper into the city, he noticed details he had never seen from behind tinted windows. He saw a tired man named Robert Hayes sweeping a sidewalk with hands cracked from winter work, pausing to stretch his back as if the pain was a constant companion. He saw a young mother, Grace Miller, juggling bags and a restless child, her face tight with worry as she checked her phone again and again. He saw an elderly woman, Margaret Lewis, counting coins at a bus stop, her breath visible in the cold air. These were not background figures anymore. They were lives moving under a weight Henry had never carried. By midday, the city seemed harsher. A sudden rain began to fall, soaking through Henry's thin jacket. He ducked under awnings, but people edged away from him, guarding their space. When he tried to sit in a public building to dry off, he was asked to leave with a look that assumed the worst. Each small rejection chipped away at the confidence he once wore like armor. He realized how easily dignity could be taken when wealth was gone. The real turning point came when Henry slipped on a wet sidewalk and fell hard, the impact knocking the breath from his lungs. Pain flared in his ankle, sharp and unforgiving. He lay there for a moment, stunned, watching shoes pass by. Some slowed, most did not stop. The city kept moving. In that moment, Henry understood how fragile security truly was. All his money, all his influence meant nothing while he lay in the rain, aching and unseen. It was Thomas Reed, a middle-aged maintenance worker with a bent posture and oil-stained hands, who finally stopped. Thomas helped Henry to his feet and guided him to a nearby bench, offering a bottle of water from his bag. There was no hesitation, no judgment, just a simple human response. As they sat there, Henry listened to Thomas talk about long shifts, a daughter in college, and a mother whose medical bills never seemed to end. Thomas complained lightly, with a resilience that felt earned. Henry felt something twist inside him, admiration mixed with guilt. This man, who had so little margin for error, still had room for kindness. As the afternoon faded, Henry tried to find a place to rest his injured ankle. Shelters were crowded, and resources stretched thin. He saw frustration and exhaustion etched into every face around him. People argued over small things because stress had worn away their patience. Henry realized that poverty was not just about lacking money, it was about carrying constant fear, the kind that never allowed rest. He had pretended to be poor for a day, but for so many, this was life without an end date. Then came the instant karma Henry never expected. As he sat on the steps of a closed library, rain dripping from his hair, he overheard passers-by discussing a major business deal rumored to close that evening. It was his deal, one that would affect thousands of jobs. He felt a surge of panic. For the first time, he could not intervene. He could not make a call or pull a string. The company, his empire, would move on without him. In that helplessness, Henry tasted the same powerlessness he had unknowingly imposed on others for years. The irony struck hard and fast. The world he controlled so tightly did not pause when he stepped out of it. As night settled over Cleveland, Henry limped back toward his building, exhaustion heavy in his bones. When he finally returned to his penthouse and put on clean clothes, the silence felt different. The view from above no longer impressed him. His mind replayed the faces he had seen, the kindness of Thomas Reed, the quiet endurance of people who were never celebrated. The day had stripped away his illusions and replaced them with a truth he could not ignore. The change did not happen all at once, but it was real. In the weeks that followed, Henry restructured his company policies, starting with wages and healthcare. He funded shelters and job training programs, not as a publicity stunt, but as a responsibility. He began showing up to places he once ignored, listening instead of leading. People noticed. Some were skeptical, others were cautiously hopeful. Henry did not blame them. Trust, he learned, had to be earned slowly. The most meaningful moment came when Henry quietly found Thomas Reed and paid off his mother's medical debt, ensuring his daughter could finish college without fear. He did it without announcements or cameras. The gratitude in Thomas's eyes was enough. Henry understood then that wealth, when used without compassion, was empty. Karma had not punished him with loss, it had punished him with awareness, and then offered redemption. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment near the end of this video to like, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps spread messages of empathy and hope to more people who need them. Before the ending, here's a special request. Comment below with one small act of kindness you believe can change someone's day, or share how this story made you feel. Henry Caldwell never pretended to be poor again, because he no longer needed the disguise to see the world clearly. One day of humility had done what years of success never could. It taught him that kindness is not measured by what you can afford to give, but by your willingness to see others as equals. And in learning that lesson, Henry finally became rich in the only way that truly mattered.